MCAT 2017 Cram, Critical Analysis and Reasoning Skills, Flashcard Set 10.3, What Separates Science from Art? As you view the reading of the passage, you'll notice some highlighted sections of text. What I want you to do is garner meaning from these specific selections in order to correctly answer the two reasoning within the text questions that follow the passage. Okay, when you arrive at these questions, you'll be required to demonstrate that you know how to think about the author's reasoning and your ability to analyze the strength of the evidentiary relationships among the component parts of the argument that the author presents in the passage will be tested as well. Okay, so good luck and happy reading. Paragraph 1. I believe the best understanding of the difference between science and art in the 19th century is to be found in a man who was not an artist but a rationalist. The scientist and writer Thomas Henry Huxley argued that the intellectual content of art is altogether different from the intellectual content of science. In art, it is truth to nature, but this truth is relative, for it depends entirely upon the intellectual culture of the person to whom the art is addressed. No man ever understands Shakespeare until he is old, though the youngest man may admire him, the reason being that he satisfies the artistic instinct of the youngest and harmonizes with the ripest and richest experiences of the oldest. In science, intellectual content is true to fact, and the deductions and generalizations which can be made from the fact. Paragraph 2. The pleasures, however, that one receives from either art or science, Huxley said, have a common source. These pleasures arise from the satisfaction one receives in tracing the central theme of whatever he is interested in at the moment in all its endless variations as it appears and reappears to demonstrate the truth of unity in variety, whether it be a problem in mathematics, an experiment in morphology, a chess game, a primitive drawing, a sophisticated painting, a simple ballad, a complex poem, a homely refrain, or a fugue, which is a contrapuntal composition in which a short melody or phrase, the subject, is introduced by one part and successively taken up by others and developed by interweaving the parts. Okay, so that's some type of, I don't know, classical music thingamajig. So, a fugue by Bach, the process of comprehending the symbols used to express the idea is both intellectual and aesthetic. The process is intellectual because it is the intellect which comprehends the laws governing any particular science or art, and it is aesthetic because it is the feelings which determine the amount of emotional pleasure one can derive from them. But the ends of the two are different. Science has at its end the attainment of truth. Art has for its end the attainment of pleasure. The subjects of all knowledge are divisible into two groups, said Huxley, matters of science and matters of art. For all things with which the reasoning faculty alone is occupied come under the province of science, and in the broadest sense, and not in the narrow and technical sense in which we are now accustomed to use the word art, all things feelable, all things which stir our emotions, come under the term art. Paragraph 3. I believe science is slowly destroying art. It can be said that science has created a hard, materialistic philosophy of life. If it destroyed art only, that would not be so bad, but science also destroys the highest aspirations of the human soul. Love is reduced to a biologic law. Family relationships are explained by psychology. Ideas are resolved into the yearnings of frustration, and God is metamorphosed into a tribal deity. Once the veil of that mystery Once the veil of mystery that enshrouds these great primary instincts of the human soul is ruthlessly snatched away, life loses the qualities which have made it beautiful and significant in the past. Despair takes the place of hope, resignation takes the place of resolution, sex takes the place of love, atheism takes the place of religion, wise and intelligent men become cynics, and common men become hedonists. Duty and morality are forgotten in the mad struggle to forget a life thus deprived of the ideas which before had made it endurable. To eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge can be as disastrous today as it was ages ago in the Garden of Eden. Come under the term of art. Is it B, in science, intellectual contact is truth to fact? Is it C, science is slowly destroying art? Or is it D, science has as its end the attainment of truth? I'll give you a moment to think. Definitely press pause or open up a second window to view the passage in search of the various textual support selections for choosing the correct answer choice. I'll give you a moment to think. All right. We have to look for contradictory statements in the passage that makes Huxley's argument flawed. Okay, so the author quotes Huxley as having said that science is concerned with reasoning, while art is concerned with, quote, all things which stir our emotions, which is basically what answer choice 1 is also saying. Okay. However, early in the paragraph, the author claims that Huxley believed science and art have a common source of pleasure that is both intellectual and aesthetic. The author writes that both science and art cause aesthetic pleasure because, quote, it is the feelings which determine the amount of emotional pleasure one can derive from them. Thus, Huxley did believe science can give one emotional aesthetic pleasure, which seems to contradict the claim that anything that stirs emotion is simply just art. The idea that science is slowly destroying art, okay, specified in answer choice C, is presented as the author's own opinion in paragraph 3. This is not Huxley's idea, okay? And as far as answer choice, answer choice D, the suggestion that science has the goal to attain truth through fact, answer choice B and D are kind of saying similar things, does not contradict other ideas attributed to Huxley, okay? So the best answer choice is answer choice A. All things which stir our emotions come under the term art. Well, not necessarily according to statements made earlier in the passage. All right? Okay. The author makes an allusion to the tree of knowledge in paragraph 3 in order to support which point? A, the scientific pursuit of knowledge has its detrimental effects. B, artistic metaphors can be used to make a point about science as an endeavor. C, those who believe in scientific truth can never believe in religious truth also. Or D, all knowledge can be divided into categories of science and art. Definitely press pause if you need to, and I'll give you a moment to think. If you're having difficulty answering, you may want to open up a second window to view the reading of the passage in search of the text support for selecting the correct answer choice. All right. So overall, we have to think about the author's reasoning in mentioning the tree of knowledge. The first two paragraphs establish science as an endeavor that aims to uncover ultimate truth and facts, okay? In the third paragraph, the author delivers a personal reflection on the effect of science and the pursuit of truth on society. The rationalization and empirical exploration of certain human experiences troubles the author. So the reference in paragraph 3 to the tree of knowledge appropriately symbolizes the author's view of science. The tree of knowledge represents science, and the Garden of Eden represents an existence that is free from the negative effects of science. And therefore, science, while the author is using artistic metaphors to make a point about science, the question asks us to choose that option that reflects the main purpose of the metaphor, okay? So the author is using the metaphor to make a larger point about the effect of science on society. The tree of knowledge is not meant to argue that those who believe in science are not capable of practicing or believing in a religion as well. And although the author quotes Huxley as saying that knowledge is divided into science and art, the idea sets the stage for the latter idea that scientific knowledge is dangerous, rather than being supported by the metaphor used to illustrate those detrimental effects on how people view themselves and the world. Okay, so that's basically going to support the selection of answer choice A. The tree of knowledge just refers to stuff that we shouldn't really have to know down to a T about our existence, which science definitely uncovers, okay? So A is the correct answer choice. The scientific pursuit of knowledge has detrimental effects. All right, okay.